want you to call the fire department when you make this recipe because all the heat's going to be in your mouth. And we are talking an amazing, delicious, spicy, yummy, perfect for hopefully the chilly weather ahead, chili. And the recipe today comes from someone who knows food. So I'm very, very excited. In just a second, I'm going to introduce my very special guest. This is really exciting to me. I cannot believe that this gentleman and I have been in the same state, in the same city for so many years. We have so many common goals. I love broadcasting. He loves broadcasting. I've been on the air. He's been on the air and behind the scenes for so many years. I'm actually working at a television station that he ran just a little bit before I got here. He loves food. I love food. Oh, my goodness, we have so much to talk about, and you're going to be very surprised to find out who my special guest is today. We also have Mama, who is at the kitchen today. Mama,
yes,
you are such a trooper. I drug her out. You know, we have been doing so many book signings and so many fundraisers and so many catering events leading into the holidays. And I decided, as I told everybody on the air a couple of weeks ago, I don't even tell Mama where to show up anymore. I don't give her schedule. I call her a few days before and I say, Mom, we have another catering to do. Because, Mama, you'd go crazy if I told you all the things I have up my sleeve.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to think about it because I would get nervous.
But we had fun last night. We were with some very, very wonderful people. And you did a cooking class. I did a cooking class. You know what, Mom? That's what makes us happy, doesn't it?
It was a wonderful evening, I'll tell you for sure.
I know.
Yeah.
So, but now you got
we made people happy. That's one thing.
We always make people happy with good food.
Yeah.
And what do? I drive you crazy by saying, Mom, did you make enough? Mama, did you make enough? Mama, make enough. And finally, you just said, stop with the make me enough. We have enough.
I wonder where you got that from.
Yeah, what is it about being Italian that you fear that there's never going to be enough food?
Well, that's part of an Italian family.
Well, see,
you got that from your mom. I got it from my mom. There's never enough.
I know. Well, I start worrying, when people have 5 and 6, they come back 5 and 6 times, and then we start running out of food. I think, Mom, we're running out of food. You say they've been back 5 or 6 times, but anyway, it's fun. You've got the weekend off, Mama. You can just relax.
Well, thank you.
Sort of. I've got something up my sleeve today that I am going to rope you into, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, you have something wonderful cooking on the stove right now, and by way of that, let me introduce my guest for today. This is the man who he had a little idea, just a little idea in his head, to bring people together on television with one common passion. He probably at the time had no idea that he had all the ingredients for a wildly popular new network idea. How popular? Well, let me just say that this little idea sprung into an entire generation of food junkies, a new generation of kids that love to cook and want to spend time in the kitchen, a new era of games and competitions with food as the focus. Can you imagine? In fact, I don't know where it is today, but recently about 90 million people were hooked on this man's idea. And we have Jack Clifford in studio today, who founded and was the chairman of a fledgling network called the Food Network years ago. Wow. How are you?
I'm fine. I am delighted to be here today, Jan, and with Mama.
Thank you.
How many opportunities does an old bald-headed guy get to be with two beautiful ladies all by myself?
Oh, my goodness. Well, Jack, let me just check on something. Are we getting his microphone? Is it working good? Okay, you know what, Jack, I start fidgeting with buttons in here, and I never know what's going to happen. And I think your buttons are working. Are your buttons working? Carlos, are they working good in there? We're just kind of, in fact, Jack, I might, there we go. I think you're there.
Okay, good.
Are we there? Good. Anyway, Jack Clifford in studio with me today. It's so great to have you here, and I've got tons and tons and tons of questions for you. And we are cooking for you today. We're making chili.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm finding out that you know a whole lot about chili.
Well, it's one of my most popular
And you know what, Jack? Hang on one second. We're having just a little bit of difficulty with that mic. Don't you love live radio? Don't you love it? I'm going to actually have you move over to this microphone here. Yeah, and while we're getting Jack set up, because you don't want to miss a second of this guy. Mama, are you excited that Jack is in studio?
I wonder if my microphone is
Your
working because I'm getting some pop.
Your microphone is always working. Your microphone is always working. But anyway, yeah. This is pretty amazing that I think it was we'll ask him when he comes back over. It was 1954, I believe, when he had the idea to do the Food Network. And, Mom, you know where it is today. It's incredible, isn't it?
I know. It is a beautiful show to watch because you always there's excitement, there's a learning there, there's a variety of things in the show. Certainly you don't get bored to watch it.
Now, let's say hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Hooray.
The radio gods are back with us. Well, Jack, I just wanted to officially welcome you and tell you how excited I am to have you in studio. What an idea you came up with many years ago.
Well, it came up as an idea, a real idea, in 1993. 1993, I was looking around to expand the reach of our cable operations that we own. We own radio, television, cable, so on. And I noticed that the people making money in the cable television business were not the people who own the cable systems, but the people who own the programming.
The programming. Mm-hmm.
And it suddenly, after all those years of being in the business, it hit me that people didn't care how they got television as long as the programs were entertaining. They didn't care if it was on cable or satellite or over the air. It had to be entertaining.
Interesting.
If it wasn't entertaining, they weren't going to watch, listen, or do anything. So the money went to Ted Turner, who became a friend of mine, and others who I worked with. And I said, I'm going to have my company get involved in programming.
And this was 1993?
93.
Okay.
And having been an amateur chef and a major league eater, I did some research and came up with the idea that nobody was doing food on television.
Unbelievable.
They were doing food half hours like Julia Childs did and others, but nobody really put a focus on food. And so that's the story. I came up with the idea for food. I hired a research company. They went out and came back and said, this is the greatest thing we've ever heard of. You should do it. I talked my shareholders into backing me on the enterprise. And in late 1993, we went up on the satellite for our first week it was Thanksgiving week of 1993. With 200,000 subscribers that could see us. Didn't necessarily say they would,
right.
but they could see us. And today, the Food Network reaches 90 million
people
homes worldwide.
This is the most unbelievable story about a brand. And when, I'm the kind of person that has, always comes up with ideas. And when you think you have a good idea, the next thought that goes through your head is you second guess that idea. And you think, this is such a good idea. Somebody must have done it, or somebody has already done it and failed. What was going through your mind when you had that idea to do a network about food?
Well, first of all, I like food. First of all, I cook. I have recipes I've created and have fun doing. Next, there wasn't any place for me for programming of unique nature left available. There are dozens of sports channels, dozens of news channels, movie channels galore. You name it, it's already there. But there was nobody taking that responsibility for food. And I thought, my goodness, everybody eats. Everybody, when we celebrate life since man's first step forth on earth, we celebrated over food. Can you imagine what those primitive cavemen did when they came home with an elk? Everybody in the tribe went berserk, and they ate and ate and ate.
Isn't there a show on Food Network? There's got to be something about crazy exotic. Well, there's a ton of shows about crazy exotic hunting and food right now.
Well, the point is, we celebrate everything in life with food.
Absolutely.
A baby is born, we have food. We celebrate with and cheer and scream and shout and hooray. The baby has its first birthday. It's a birthday cake. It ain't a birthday ping pong ball.
That's
It's a
right.
birthday cake. We eat and we drink. Marriage. We eat and we drink.
We celebrate
Everything we celebrate. Anywhere in the world, in any society. I don't care whether it's Muslim or Asian or Western Europe. Every big event in our lives
But it was
is centered around food. And I thought to myself, this is nuts. We got to do this thing. So I hired this research firm to go out and take a look and see if I was right. And they came back. In fact, the fellow who did the research for me, was one of my first investors. He was so enthused about this. Then I put together 9 other investors, including my company, who are also broadcasters and or cable operators. And we came up with the money necessary to take care of putting this thing together.
You know, Jack, I'm not an envious person, but I'm so envious that you came up with this idea because it's brilliant. And you know, I'm thinking, you said 1993, right? I'm thinking in 1993, food and cooking was still drudgery in a way. It was, and women were getting more into the workforce. It was that stress of now I'm getting into the workforce and I've got to get home and I've got to feed my family and I hate it. And you turned it into a sport. You turned it into, you turned it into a craft, a sport, a hobby, a pastime, a passion. And it was timing for you. And it was how much of it was timing and how much of it was that your idea turned that whole thing around, you know?
Well, I want to make one other point. Then we'll get to the chili.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're cooking it right now. Wait till you taste this chili.
What I tried to do, and fortunately my shareholders wanted me to do, we were a large company. The Providence Journal Company was the company I was employed by. And I ran everything but their newspaper operations. And eventually I became executive vice president. But anyway, they're very wonderful, decent people. And the last thing we wanted to get involved in was another, shall we say, over-the-edge, risque kind of television show. Now, I don't want to sound like a prude, but we just didn't want to have a show full of swearing, nudity, and violence, and people killing each other. I guess there's a place for that.
Even when you burn the roast.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you get pretty mad.
Yeah. Jack, hold that thought.
Okay, I'm going to come back to it.
Hold that thought because I want to hear about this. And also, we're going to ask you, I remember the programming that started even that first couple of weeks. It's come a long way. It's changed quite a bit. And I remember it's actually gone from sort of talking about food to food in every single capacity, every competition, every walk of life in every corner of the world. And so we're going to find out how this all happened and what Jack Clifford thinks of the Food Network today. And then, Mama, you're not going to believe what idea I have for you today. And we're going to talk about Jack's chili. It's all coming back in the kitchen on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's talk station.
The Sean Hannity Show, weekday afternoons at 1:06. News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's talk station.
How lethal is this chili? Well, okay, you can use it to repair potholes in the driveway. That's how lethal it is, according to the gentleman that has been working on this recipe for years and years. And the Department of Homeland Security, it's identified Clifford's chili as a WMID, a weapon of mass indigestion. Just the kind of recipe I love to make and pass around. We are in studio with Jack Clifford, the gentleman that came up with just a little idea for the Food Network years ago. And, Jack, it's evolved quite a bit. I actually remember when the first couple of programs, and I remember it was actually people sitting at a desk talking about food. And then there was Ready, Set, Cook. And then there were, I don't know when that came, but I do remember people just talking about food. How did it evolve?
Well, our first major star was Robin Leach, the fellow that came up with for the rich and famous.
Yes.
Excuse me. But Robin also is a chef, and he had a cookbook out. And we hired him, and he did the Thanksgiving of '93 at his home with all of his celebrity friends. And that was our first major real effort. None of the shows at that time were instructive.
Right.
They were entertaining. but there weren't many of them, and we repeated them over and over and over. But gradually, we were able to get more and more chefs to join us, and we got into what we originally set out to do, and that was to help people learn how to cook, how to make interesting food, how to make common food into delicious food.
If the entertainment concept was so successful, how did you evolve into instructional and educational? And did you feel that was a risk at the time?
Oh, sure, but we also had wonderful people like Emeril Lagasse, who I hired, by the way, and others that came on board, and they did it in an entertaining style. In fact, after the first full year, 2 years of the Food Network, Emeril was voted one of the top 10 celebrities on television in the United States.
Wow.
And he should have been. He should have been.
He's
you
so
know
good.
that he sold his company about 15 years ago to Martha Stewart for $55 million.
That's right.
I have never received a check from him.
We need to call him right now.
Get in touch with him.
Well,
Emeril, where are you when I need you?
Well, and there's been a dispute in the last couple of years, Jack, over the talent that's evolving out of the Food Network. And what's happening is they're spinning out these incredible, the Rachel Rays and the Guy Fieri's, and these guys are going off and making millions and millions. And at some point, the Food Network today said, wait a second, hold on a second. We're not getting a cut of the 9 books, and we're not getting a cut of the kitchen utensils, and we're not getting a cut of the road shows. So they really had to kind of rethink what they were doing with their talent as well, right?
I'm not certain about all that. I do know that I felt, and this started happening early on, I felt the more that these people were circulated, the better it would be for the Food Network, because we were the core network. And if Rachel Ray appeared on ABC, that was
Better
good for the Food Network.
You bet.
Initially, the way I set things up, and I'm no longer connected with it at all, so the way I set it up is that if we sold books or utensils or anything of that nature, the contract was directly between the Food Network and the supplier, not through the individual talent. Now, I don't know if that's changed or what, but I'm not going to comment on that.
Well, and Jack, you're not involved with the Food Network anymore, but if you were, and you had somebody of Mama's caliber in studio that you were looking at for a new show, and she's fantastic, she's a great cook, people love her. So if you were the head of the Food Network and you had an opportunity to audition someone like Mama, I think it would be great fun. And so my suggestion today is that maybe we put Mama through an impromptu live audition while we've got you in studio and while she's cooking your chili, and we're going to be talking about the ingredients, unbelievable ingredients in this chili. We thought it might be kind of fun to see how Mama would do. Poor Mom, I don't tell her these things until I'm live on the radio.
He's running out the door.
I know. Mama, come back. What do you think, Mom? You game? Let's say you were auditioning to Jack for a Food Network show.
Yeah, first of all, I'm jealous about what Jack came up with, and I should do something too.
I agree.
I should have my own network.
Oh, your own network. Oh, now she wants her own network.
My Food Network.
Mama's network.
Yeah, of course not.
Never
Why
mind.
not?
We've just bypassed the show idea.
Yeah.
Now it's on
Now they're ushering me out, and Mama's taking it.
It's on to the network and then eventually the universe. But, Mama, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. I want you to collect your thoughts.
Oh, sure.
We have Jimmy with us on the line calling in today. So I'm going to actually, when we come back, Jack, I'm going to have Mama do the introduction as if she were auditioning for her own food show. And I just thought of a great name for her food show. How about this? Mamma Mia, Mama Tua. So my mom, your mom.
Okay.
The most popular food in the United States
That's
is
right.
Italian.
That's right.
Is it time? Well, we're going to talk about that too. But we're going to get to this chili. I think we're going to be diving into this chili here real quick. I've never made chili with so many different hot spices. And you know what? In the end, it all smooths out. But right now, let's get an update from Fox News.
Trusted news, valued opinions. This is News Talk 550 KFYI.
Well, Mama is working on her introduction. She is auditioning to Jack Clifford for a new Food Network show. But in the meantime, Mama, we have someone on the line who's calling in, and I am going to let you. Don't be nervous now. I'm going to let you do the introduction. Go for it.
Okay, first of all, I say, welcome everybody. It is Mama Diatri, the host of a new hit television, Mamma Mia and Mama Tua.
Oh, so now it's a hit television.
I get the inspiration from so many different chefs, and one that I really like is Jimmy Molinari from Uncle Sal Italian Restaurant and Bar in Scottsdale. Ciao, Jimmy.
Hi, how are you, Mama?
I am fine. And how are you today?
I'm doing good. It sounds great. It looks like you're going to have a hit with that.
Good job,
Thank you,
Mama.
Jimmy. And what are you going to cook today?
What am I cooking today?
Yes.
Well, tonight I got some fresh fish. I got some Chilean sea bass, and I got some mahi-mahi. We're going to work in some osombuco and some veal chops. What do you got going down there?
Oh, we have a show today here. We have a very special gentleman. And I don't know if you were tuning in. He is the original Food Network, Jack Schaefer.
Clifford.
Yeah, I heard a little bit. I heard him talking about Emerald a little bit.
Mom, if you're going to audition for a show in front of a gentleman who's going to hire you, you got to make sure and get the name right.
Wow.
But it was close.
Well,
Mama, it was close.
Well,
Close
thanks
enough.
for that. You got to give me a little bit of credit.
Jimmy, she's doing good, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, excellent.
Hey, did I hear that you're making fish?
Excuse me?
Did I hear you're making fish at the restaurant?
Oh, I'm making fish. I got a lot of fish tonight. I got some Chilean sea bass. We're going to do it in a little roasted red pepper sauce, and it's going to come with a little vegetable on the side. And then I got some mahi-mahi. We're going to do in one of our signature sauces, which is Mario, a little sun-dried tomato, caper, and basil, over some linguine.
Wow.
But yeah, we got a lot of fish here tonight.
Wow,
We got a lot of different things going on. Some stuff coming up in the future too.
I know. We're talking with Jimmy Molinari. He is the chef and just part of the awesome restaurant family for Uncle Sal's Italian Restaurant and Bar. It's the southwest corner of Osborne and Hayden in Scottsdale. You guys have been there for about 23 years, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And
It's been quite a while.
Jimmy, I don't know if you heard Jack Clifford say that, he and of all the nationalities that have come and gone and that have stayed, Italian food is still the most popular.
Well, God bless it, We love it. We need it here. It's so comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Say hi to Jack, Jimmy.
Hi, Jack. How are you?
Fine, Jimmy. I did a lot of research on this, by the way. This is not just off the top of my head, but the United States of America, the most favorite food, without even anything being second place close to it, is Italian food.
Wow,
That's great.
I see expansion in your future.
I'm glad I'm in this cuisine. I'm glad I'm Italian,
Right.
Jimmy, what is it about Italian? What do your customers tell you? What are the favorites on the menu?
Because, the favorites, we got a ton of them. The menu altogether is a favorite. But right now, we have great traditional dishes like the linguine vongole, which is a white clam sauce, and we got a zuppa de pesce with some shrimp and scallops and mussels and stuff like that. Our meats, we stick to like a braised short rib. We got rack of lamb, and we got some fillets and some steaks and everything. But, we got the best lasagna, the best eggplant parm, the best baked ziti, and those traditional dishes that people are really familiar with that, they're excellent.
I wish you could see Jack's eyes light up when you said eggplant parm, because, Jack, I understand you've got quite a recipe for eggplant parm.
Oh, I adore it, and I make it at home with my sweet wife, Beverly. In fact, we have many friends that want us to make it, and I'd love to come by your place and compare.
I was going to say you should
we're
take
here
it right
every day, so you're more than welcome to shoot by anytime.
And it is on the southwest corner of Osborne and Hayden. And, Jack, right around the corner, they have another little sort of a neighborhood food place called The Side Door. And that's where you can go in and get a nice calzone, a loose burger. You can get salads. You can get cool sides. You can get a nice ice-cold beer. What's your favorite at The Side Door this week, Jimmy?
My favorite right now is, the vegetable stack sandwich, the veggie sandwich with all the grilled vegetables on it, right off the grill, zucchini, squash, portobello, eggplant. We stack that high, put a little cheese on it, and Those are one of my favorites. I eat a lot of vegetables.
Boy, you brought that in last week.
Yeah, I
and
did.
It was,
you know what?
everybody
and
went crazy.
It sells so much. It's one of my favorites on the menu.
It is so good. We had a lot of fun last week. You had a wine dinner, and you had the ambassador to Ruffino wine, all the way from Florence.
Yeah, wasn't that cool?
It was so fun. Are you going to be doing more wine tastings like that?
I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more in the future. You know, you take them one at a time. But, you know, in the side door in November, we got a great music schedule coming up.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have Holly Christine, and she'll be singing November 15th in there. And right after that on Sunday, she's actually doing the national anthem at the Cardinals game.
Oh, you're kidding. Fantastic.
Yeah, and then that'll be really cool to have her in here. So
that's awesome, and you've got Ronnie Glover there.
Ronnie Glover. He's playing the night before Thanksgiving. You know, it's a big bar night.
Everybody loves
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Busy the night before Thanksgiving for some reason.
Wow. Well, listen, give us a couple of, besides the fish and besides the eggplant parm, give us your recommendations. Give us 3 or 4 of your favorites this week.
4 of my favorites this week: the filet gorgonzola.
Okay.
The pesce alla vaca.
Wow.
The short ribs that are braised on the menu, the braised short ribs, and let's see, one other one, the lobster ravioli.
Ooh, that sounds good. Wow, you can find it.
I'm leaving and going over there.
You stay right there. We're going to dive into your chili. Jimmy, I wish you could be in studio. First of all, we're going to have Jack Clifford's chili that we're cooking up. We're going to talk about it in about 2 minutes here. It's pretty dynamite. But I also wish you were in studio because you know that Jack actually hired Emeril Lagasse.
Yeah, I heard that.
Right.
I actually heard him talking about that before. Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, and I think he might still have contacts there. You could have come in here. You could have been discovered.
Oh, man.
We've
I'm
discovered
being discovered
you,
already. I got 100 people walking through my door in the next couple hours.
Yes, you do.
You're discovered, kid.
I'm
You're
being discovered.
Well, listen, you can find more information at UncleSal'sAZ.com. They're open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. The gentleman that we're talking to on the line is back in the kitchen. He prepares your meals. It's all homemade. It's all fresh. And we love you guys, Jimmy. And listen, since Mama's auditioning for her own Food Network show called Mamma Mia, Mama Tua, I'm going to let her close out the show and toss to a break. How does that sound?
Awesome.
All right, Mama, take it away.
Well, Jimmy, what can I say except thank you, grazie.
Oh,
we
you're
will
welcome.
see you here in the studio next week.
I will. I'll be down there next week.
Good.
Awesome, Jimmy. You take care. Say hi to the gang.
I will. Thanks. Have
All
a great
right.
day.
Take care. And that fish sounds really good. All right, Mom. Well, let's toss it to a break.
Am I ready for my...
Oh, you know what?
No,
let's not toss it to a break. You've been working on your introduction.
I
Okay, so
did.
let's back up.
I did.
Jack, are you ready for this? Okay, Mama's going to give you her introduction to her own Food
on my
Network
show.
Very
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Am I ready?
You're ready.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. Hi.
Hi.
And welcome to Mamma Mia and Mama Tua. I'm Livia Diatri, but everyone call me Mama.
Oh.
Each week, of course, I share my heart with all through the thought of the dishes with Mama, my mother that taught me. And because these are the treasure that I think you will love, and I will pass on to you and your children and your grandchildren.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You will need a few items, though, in the kitchen to get started.
Uh-oh.
First, wine, red wine, and plenty of it. Second, white wine, a couple of a bottle will do it. Third, a nice wine opener and a large glass.
Oh, man. I think we have the wine network coming up here.
The rest of the people will just come together by themselves. Okay. Now, sit back and enjoy the first dish of today. We are making Mama Drunken Chicken.
Oh, yeah.
And Polo in Dorado. We will be right back, though, with Mama Mia and Mama Tua. How's that?
Hey.
Oh, I would totally hire her.
Hired.
Okay.
Right? Good job, Mom.
Well,
Were you
really?
nervous?
Am I higher?
You're not even nervous.
Why should I? This is my church, and if I'm nervous, I don't belong here.
You did a great job. Very good. All right, Mama, get to work. Let's cook the chili.
Oh,
so listen, when we come back, Jack, there is a fantastic cookbook that I want everybody to know about.
You're in it.
Well, yeah, I know. And, I actually didn't know that until a long while after it came out. But you were actually the inspiration for this cookbook, and your chili is in it. So when we come back, I want to talk about this chili and about this cookbook and how this is going to be the perfect gift for everybody for the holidays, right? And
I would agree.
Love the chili. We're in studio with Mama auditioning for her brand new hit show, Mamma Mia, Mama Tua, and Jack Clifford. We'll be right back in the kitchen on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's Talk station.
Dependable and trustworthy. News Talk 550 KFYI.
Well, as many of you know, I've been on the air 33 years here in Arizona, 26 of those years at Channel 3, and then went to Channel 12. I've been at Channel 12 for 9 years. And Jack Clifford was actually, you were the general manager of Channel 12 up until 1974. And I got to Arizona in 79. So we didn't cross paths, but you and I are in this fabulous new cookbook. It's the House of Broadcasting star-studded celebrity media cookbook, and all your favorites are in here. We've got Jude LaCava, Patty Kirkpatrick. We've got Destry, my co-host at Channel 12. We've got, Ted Houston is in here, and he was just in here trying your chili. He snuck some chili before we even got it. Ron Hoon, John Hook, Troy Hayden. We've got Lisa Hafner and Lynn Sue, Cooney, Terry Gilbert. The Barrel Boy is even in here. Right. One of the most popular guys at KNIX, if not the most popular guy at KNIX. But this is a cool book, and you were actually the inspiration for this, weren't you?
Well, that's what they tell me.
That's what they tell you, huh? So tell us about the cookbook first off.
Well, first, my connection with the House of Broadcasting. I'm on the board of directors. And I believe it is an important institution. It provides a place, a repository for all the great history of broadcasting in Arizona, which, by the way, Arizona was one of the first far western areas to begin receiving network broadcasting outside of Los Angeles.
Really?
And between Los Angeles and St. Louis back in the 20s with KOY, which was the forerunner of this particular station, and KTAR radio, AM. So those were the two stations that signed on first and fought for years over who got there first.
That's right. Jack, right down the street, there is Big Apple.
Yeah.
And didn't somebody broadcast their radio show from when you drive by, you can actually see there's sort of a picture window outside.
Oh, sure.
And was Gene Autry involved? What was the story?
Gene Autry came here a great deal and made films over here, as I understand it. But Gene Autry's connection with broadcasting here was cool radio and cool TV.
Okay.
Tom Chauncey met him and convinced him that he should invest. This is my understanding. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Should invest in a radio and television, or radio station at the time. This is back before TV. And Chauncey convinced him because Autry had a very successful investment in a couple of radio properties in California. So between Chauncey and Autry, they put cool radio on the air. And then after the Second World War and television franchises or licenses were being granted, they got the CBS affiliation in Channel 10.
Interesting. Well, you're going to find all of this information. We have our very own House of Broadcasting, and it is Arizona's largest private collection of broadcast memorabilia. It is so cool. It was established in 1997, and it's one, as Jack mentioned, of only 5 museums in the nation dedicated to the broadcast industry. What are some of the really fun things in there that you love?
Well, of course, the pictures of it, and in some cases, the recordings of some of the great old talents. I get a big kick out of that. By the way, they don't have me on record. They don't want to chase people away, but I was recorded a bit because I was the first sportscaster at Channel 3 in 1957.
I just found that out today. That's unbelievable. Well, you can also find Mary Jo West, the outfit that she wore. She was, of course, our first female anchor. Wallace and Ladmo, Ray Thompson, just on and on. There's so much memorabilia there, and it's in Old Town Scottsdale.
That's right, and it's free, available to the public.
It is free, and I'm going to give you a website that you're going to learn more about it. It's houseofbroadcasting.com, and I want you to pick up this cookbook because it's got great recipes, and it's got all your favorite celebrities. And it's got Jack's chili. All right, so this is Clifford's chili. And yes, and when you send it to me, it says it can be used to repair potholes in the driveway.
Well, you let it season for a while.
All right, can I just kind of go through some of I flipped when I made this. First of all, it's got it's got stewing beef and ground beef. And then it's got ground pork. So you've got 3 proteins in there. And then tell me about the kick that you add in there, all the different types of chili.
Well, you have to be careful. First,
now you tell me, after I made it.
My chili is meant to be eaten by anyone. So I don't make it too hot. I make it spicy, but not too hot. And I learned that the hard way by being in competition in various states in the Union with chili contests. When I left Arizona to go to Atlanta, I left behind my favorite food, which is Hispanic or Southwestern food. Now, chili is not a Hispanic product. It is the product of the trail herds that the cowboys rode on, and they would pick peppers and things along the way to spice. The cookies would pick up those things to put in with the meat, because the meat was never seasoned. It was just butchered and eaten.
They called it
tough as it could be.
Good sop.
And so they'd have to cook the stuff for a long time and cover over the rough kind of meat they used. They used everything they could get their hands on to season it, and out of that, out of that came chili.
So chili is truly a cowboy fare.
Yeah, it is. It came from taking these large herds of cattle up to Kansas or wherever they were taking them to the railhead, and they had to have something to eat. So chili began there, and then it took off, particularly in San Antonio, Texas, in the early days.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to get to the cumin, the chili pepper flakes, the oregano flakes, the ground dried jalapeno, which I didn't even know existed. And when I found it and I put it in this chili pot, wow, wow, wow. And Jack is right. Anyone can eat it. It's so delicious. And we're going to dive into it. Coming back, we've got Jack Clifford in studio, and Mama is auditioning for Mamma Mia, Mama Tua. We'll see what she comes up with next in the kitchen on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's talk station. Well, I stole it from my niece, who stole it from my sister, who stole it from Lord knows who. But the main thing is we've got it. Great pumpkin chocolate chip cookies for the holidays. And now we're diving into chili.
Not in the recipe book. No, no. And what more, baby, I can cook.
Yeah, we're cooking from the House of Broadcasting Star-Studded Celebrity Media Cookbook. And this is Jack Clifford's chili. This is an amazing recipe, and I have to tell you, Jack, Mama might be nervous about auditioning for a new show, but I was nervous about presenting you with your very own recipe because I've never made a chili recipe like this, and it happens to now be one of my favorite chili recipes.
Well, you sure did a great job.
No, tell me the truth. You like it?
Absolutely perfect. It has the wonderful flavor. Then it has the afterbite you're supposed to get.
Can we talk about this afterbite? Because I don't
That's
like...
where the heat comes from.
Yeah, but I don't like a chili where you can taste the cumin, or you can get hit by the red pepper, or you can get hit by the chili pepper.
All blended.
This is all blended. Mom, if you were going to introduce this on your show, what would you say?
I will say I had chili before, but this is... one of the best. You can cook for me anytime.
Isn't this a
day.
good chili?
It really, really is. And like Jack says, it's spicy, but not that spicy that will burn your throat.
Right.
But it gives that Southwest, that Cowboys, that perfect chili. It's good.
And
Jen.
I love the fact that you add the beans later if you want, but they're not incorporated into your chili. Tell us how you make the chili, starting with the meat.
Well, first I take the meat and brown it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't put it in there with any red showing, any pink or red showing. I do that first, and that goes into the chili pot first.
Do you use a Dutch oven or a cast iron?
Yeah, Dutch oven.
That's what I did. Okay.
And then following that, go the spices, the dried jalapeno, etc.
Now, I didn't know that the dried jalapeno existed. I went to Sprouts.
Well, it's a lot easier to work with than trying to chop up the fresh ones.
It sure is, and I'll tell you that at Sprouts they have a bulk food section, but they also have a bulk spice section. And I went right over there, and I found jalapeno flakes.
Same thing.
I think so. And so you've got red chili pepper flakes. You've got the Mexican oregano. Tell us the difference between Mexican oregano and Italian oregano.
Italian oregano is much smaller, more finely ground. I honestly can't tell you there's a flavor difference. But I like the Mexican oregano because, simply put, where I get my spices, they say you must use that. Now, I can't tell you why.
I actually like it better than Italian oregano, and I'll tell you why. Because I think it's sweet, a little sweeter. I think it's got a little bit of a wild flavor essence to it, and it's milder than with Italian oregano. If you go overboard, you have completely, I think, ruined the dish because it's all you taste is oregano. But this is a good blender.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had, when you had a cold or you're feeling poorly, had oregano oil?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's powerful.
That'll knock your socks off.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in Mexico, and I had the oregano there. Do you know that the oregano grow along the creeks as a wire?
Really?
The Mexican oregano?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. They don't even, plant it in the garden like we do here, the oregano. It just grows wire around.
Mama, easier for you to steal.
Of course, but what I do, I mean, you got to know how to make the dish like Jack came up with them.
So the spices are chili powder, cumin, the red pepper flakes, and then the jalapeno flakes. I love this combination.
Mm-hmm. And I put New Mexico Big Jim.
Oh,
the Big Jim, big green peppers, which turn into the red peppers later on.
Right.
So I grind up the red peppers, and I chop up the Big Jim, the green. And
beautiful.
Of course, I have to put those in the oven and
roast them off.
Roast them, and then pull the skin off,
mm-hmm.
and then chop it up.
Exactly.
Very good.
Now, so you've got stewing beef, and I cut them into pretty small pieces.
Yeah, little cubes.
Little cubes. Then you've got ground beef, and then pork, so that's for the meat. And then we took, according to your recipe, a nice yellow onion and some garlic, and we sauteed those to give it. So there's a lot of sweetness. And your recipe called for chopped tomatoes and tomato paste, and I use the organic, which made it even sweeter. So you've got your sweet yellow onions, you've got your organic tomato paste, which adds to the sweetness. But then you have corn flour, which I've never cooked with before, in a chili.
Yeah, masa harina.
It's a thickener at the end.
Yeah, it's used as a thickener for, in many Mexican dishes, but chili particularly. And I also use cider vinegar. A cup of cider vinegar, I think, is what it is.
You've got cider vinegar and a little bit of sugar. Now, if you're using the organic tomato paste and the sweet onion, you still put the sugar in?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you won an award with this chili, didn't you?
Yep, a couple times.
It's good. It's good.
Excuse me, I'm eating it.
That's all right. That's all right. Mama, you know what I love, too, is that he serves it with cheese, which we brought, and sour cream, which we brought, and beans that you can have the beans if you want. But a lot of people that I know that make the real traditional chili, no beans. No beans. You put them, you add them to them.
Well, I had made chili beans before, but you know what I did? To thickness, rather than the flour, the corn that you use, I dredge the meat with a flour, and
that'll do
and
it.
That's what you do with this recipe too.
And that does it.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you that glaze, that thickness.
That's a general recipe to follow, of course, and it depends upon how the environment is and everything else. But I put the corn flour in only if it's not thick enough.
Mm-hmm. And it was very thick, so I had to make that determination.
But I don't put that. I don't put all that in if I don't have to.
Right, exactly. So it's just an option.
It's
but
really
it does
not a flavoring device. It's a thickening device.
Now, Jack, let me ask you something. I made a great big pot, and let's say I want to heat it up tomorrow. Do I add water back in or chicken broth, or what do I do if I want to
Just
loosen
heat
it
it up,
up?
baby.
Just heat it up, baby. Now,
It gets better the older it gets.
oh boy, I'll tell you what. So your recipe says that lastly, before serving Clifford's chili, make sure all your guests have their health insurance cards with them.
Oh, absolutely.
And that you demand that the host and hostess assume all liability associated with cooking and serving Clifford's chili. And you won't touch the stuff. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. This is a fantastic recipe, Jack, and I'm going to make this all throughout the holidays. It's just wonderful.
Well,
we served it with a little flour tortilla. Is that the right thing?
well,
to
that's
do?
the way to do it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The condiments, if you want to call them, the side stuff, the
Right.
beans and so on. The reason beans are not put in it is that they break up. If you're cooking chili for 3 hours, it isn't made instantaneously.
Right.
Like a soup, you could put a soup together in an hour, but you can't chili. Well, you could, but it wouldn't be any good. So if you put the beans in, they will burst and they will exude starch into the chili, and you'll have a bowl full of cement when you get done.
Interesting. What a great tip.
So, but the beans, I like having beans in my chili, but I cook them like we did here today, separately, and I add them in when I go to pour my chili in.
Well, that's what I'm going to do from now on and it changes if you're cooking chili with beans, it really changes the flavor.
Oh, yeah.
But I love the fact that you've got the 4 spices in there. Love the fact that you use the corn flour. And if you don't, this is a recipe since it's in a cookbook. And by the way, you can pick up a copy of the Star-Studded Celebrity Media Cookbook, and it's going to be a fantastic gift for the holidays. Let me give you a phone number right now. And then also, if you didn't get a chance to write it down, you can email me at jandiatri.com anytime during the week, and I can give this to you. But the number to get the House of Broadcasting Star-Studded Celebrity Media Cookbook with the very potent Clifford's chili is 480-893-1324, 480-893-1324, and there's even a little discount for you for listening to the show today. And I'm going to mention the phone number at the end of the show as well. So if you didn't make it, write it down. I'll have it again for you. This book is fantastic. Mama's Chicken Scallopini is in here.
Really?
Yeah. And, there's all sorts of chicken and dumplings and baked custard and cowboy caviar.
Chicken pot pie.
Chicken pot pie. We've got teriyaki kebabs and also risotto. Joe Garagiola's risotto. And Heidi Fogelsong, her magic meals. And
Hugh Downs is in there with the
Hugh
rest.
Downs is in there. That's right. Dan Davis. So it's Rick D'Amico is broccoli and shells, and Joe Dana, monsoon, mango, salsa. So it's really a fun
those
book.
are their very special recipe.
That's
It's really worth it to pick up one because you won't be able to find.
Right, and if you get a chance to stop by the House of Broadcasting, it's in Old Town Scottsdale. It's on 5th Avenue. So going south on Scottsdale Road, you're going to turn right on 5th Avenue, and it's maybe about a quarter of a mile down on the right, I would say.
It's upstairs.
And it's upstairs. Do we have an address for the House of Broadcasting? You can go to houseofbroadcasting.com and get all the details. But if you really want a dose of Arizona media, that's the place to do it. And boy, Jack, that chili.
Well, thank you. Coming from you, that's high praise.
Well, thank you. And when we come back, we have a recipe that's been stolen several times, actually. And we're going to share it with you today. And, Mama, how is your how
We got to get to her audition.
Yeah, how's your show coming along?
Yeah, you know something? I will be ready to go to the next chapter.
Okay. Mama's ready to go to the next chapter. I can hardly wait to hear what that is. Coming back in the kitchen on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's talk station.
550 KFYI.
I was driving around doing errands yesterday, and I was listening to Greg Paul, and he told me, Mama, you got to hear this story. He mentioned this story, and I couldn't believe it. A beef over chicken is the excuse a man in Zimbabwe is using to explain why he assaulted his wife. The 40-year-old man says he was angry when his 24-year-old wife served chicken for dinner but saved the best pieces for herself. leaving him with the gizzards, the wings, and only one drumstick. Local traditions apparently dictate the tastiest parts of the chicken be reserved for the man. A tribal court fined the wife 1 chicken for the offense. In addition, the woman's grandmother was also docked a chicken by tribal chieftains for failing to teach her granddaughter, quote, how to treat her husband and dish out meals. The man is threatened to seek divorce if his wife gives him crummy chicken pieces again.
Certainly makes sense to me.
It makes perfect sense, right?
Where did you read that?
I'm telling you, I was driving around and I heard Greg Paul right here at 550 KFYI tell this story, and I just couldn't believe it.
It sounds like a fairy tale. It doesn't
No,
even sound right. It doesn't.
It's actually a very true story. Hey, Mom, how's your audition coming?
Well, my auditions, honey, I have so many ideas. I don't know which one to pick up, but I really would like to have a show of my own that I can have cooking show, and I would love to give tips because there are so many mistaken cooking that people don't know how. Like, for an example, just a very little example, whenever you saute something, the bigger mistake they make, they put the lids on. That toughen the meat immediately. The reason that you saute is to seal the blood that is inside the meat, not to put a lid because that will put all the juice out.
You don't want to stew it, yeah.
Things like that. So many of them. And, Jen, all my life I have been in the kitchen. I actually started in 1957. I opened my first restaurant in 1957, and the last one was in 2004. 5 of them.
I know.
Between my husband and I and Jan Diatri and Mama. We had so many years.
We're done. We're done with the restaurant. We're just working on your show, Mama.
Right.
Well, Jack, Mama was talking about wanting to teach and wanting to give good tips. And there are a lot of folks that really want to learn how to cook, but are afraid, they're intimidated. The Food Network, when you came up with the idea, was started as entertainment and then as educational. It's really changed, and I think a lot of people don't realize that it's really back to entertainment in a wild way, and that if you're looking at making a 30-minute meal, it may take you probably a couple of hours because you don't have 250 people behind the scenes prepping everything for you. It's entertainment. What is the Food Network today to you as you see it, and how has it changed?
Well, it's a very good network. The programming is entertaining and enlightening. When we started out, we had the idea that we would teach people how to cook, that we would teach people how to, for example, the simple little things like putting the top on. Also, seasoning is very important.
Oh, absolutely.
And when to use it and how. For example, there's very little salt in that chili.
I did not put any salt in the chili.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just, if you want to, you can put, but that's to be added by the individual who's eating it.
Right.
But if you're not careful with salt, you can ruin any dish. Salt's important, pepper's important, seasonings are important, but they have to be in a precise ratio to the rest of the meal.
And salt's become such a crutch.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, there's so much that goes into cooking something that's really delicious, but not how to put this. It does take great effort. It just takes knowledge. And we really set out to teach people to cook. And by golly, I have to say this. What's happened is that we've brought the man back into the kitchen.
That's what Mama's been saying.
This is exactly what I was going to say. I've been toying with the idea of having a cookbook just for men. You know why? Today, men are in the kitchen eager to learn because, the wife will work, and sometimes he's home, they have children, and a man loves to eat. That's unnatural. But no, I've been telling Jen, I says, my next project, what it will be to make a cookbook for a man. And also, Jen, another dream that I have, but I don't know if I'm too old to it, but is to teach young generations the tradition, the classic
Classic.
dishes are gone. All they know about it is fast food. And they just grab something, and then we wonder why they are obese. They are out of shape, and there's so many sickness and disease. You know, to take young people and show them and turn the clock back and show how the way we used to do with so little and so very conservative, very, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money either in the restaurant or even in the grocery store, because all the things that you can have at home in your refrigerator, in your pantry, all those things can make a wonderful dishes. Good, healthy dishes.
Fun to do, too.
Yeah, and fun to do it.
It really is fun.
Are you finding that people are really? We're seeing it all over, that people are loving to cook and really enjoying it.
Well, I get letters, and I get from people in the business, not from the general public. They don't know who I am. But in any case, what I'm hearing is that husbands and wives both work. The younger generation, not my generation, but the younger generation. And the only time they're together is in the evening. And if he's going to go in the living room and watch sports, and she's going to do all the necessary work in the kitchen, they still don't have a life together.
Exactly.
So it's so important in my mind, and I'm so proud of the Food Network. We didn't intend to do this. I mean, I can't say we set out to do it. But I do know for a fact that the Food Network is being watched by men, by a great number of men. In fact, in many occasions, more than women. And they are cooking together, and that's a time to be together.
Jack, who do you love on the Food Network right now?
Well, I like Rachel.
Why?
Well, she's perky and has good ideas, and what she cooks is simple, but it is easy to follow.
Everybody can do it.
But again, she's a personality that seems to come across as genuine. I like Guy Fieri and his crazy stuff. He's a nut, but that's what that show's all about. And you see some very fascinating stuff that these people do in these very small restaurants, and winners, dives, and drive-ins. I like Bobby Fay very much. He's a wonderful personality, a superior cook, and a marvelous restaurateur.
Yes, absolutely.
Mario, I like Mario a great deal.
Well, you had mentioned the word, kind of the magic word in television, or really in any profession, but mostly in television, in media, and that is authenticity. And when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And then we've got a recipe for cookies that are to die for. And then we're going to talk about wine. But right now, here's an update from Fox News. Well, the holidays are right up on us. Can you believe that? And I've got somebody on the line. Jack, say hello to Carissa from Fleming's Steakhouse and Wine Bar. She is in charge of private dining at the beautiful DC Ranch location. Have you been? You been up to that one?
Hello there, young lady.
Hi.
Hi, Carissa. How are you? Meet Jack Clifford. He actually came up with that tiny little idea for the Food Network.
It was great. It was very informative, and it was kind of fun to hear from the behind-the-scenes side of things that you wouldn't think about.
Yeah, well, I've just found out some things about Jack that I'm going to be mentioning here in a few minutes. I can't even believe this, gentleman. And, of course, Mama is auditioning for her new hit television show, Mamma Mia, Mama Tua. And she has gone from cooking with women to cooking with tips to cooking with kids, and now she's settled on men. What do you think?
Well, it was fun to hear.
Well, Carissa, you've got so many great things, of course, going on up at Fleming's Steakhouse and Wine Bar, but I wanted to talk to you specifically about the fine dining options, because right now people are booking their holiday parties, their New Year's parties, their there are all sorts of anniversaries and get-togethers and reunions. Tell us what you've got available.
Yes, well, at Fleming's, we have quite a few options for your guests. We have private rooms that can seat anywhere between 10 to 80 people. Wow. We also have a wonderful private patio that's fully enclosed that overlooks the Sonoran Desert and the McDowell Mountain Ranch, and it's a great also spot for holiday parties. we, offer a variety of different types of people events, anything from corporate events to, family get-togethers and meetings. The nice thing is our rooms, we can do private dining menus and customize that for our clients, or we can, you can come in and just order a la carte and use the private rooms for a special party or evening for your clients or guests.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's pretty cool to have your own private dining director so that you can actually specialize a menu for a specific dietary needs or specific occasion. And I know you work there. Each Fleming's location has its own private dining director. And then above and beyond the holiday parties, if you're looking for a meeting, you guys have equipped those rooms with such great technology that you can do all sorts of things. Tell us a little bit about that, too.
Sure. We feature our Cisco system, which we have a 52-inch flat screen teleconference system where you can, do teleconferences between different people at different states or areas. You can hook a laptop up to that and show your presentation. You can do a conference call. So there's quite a few varieties with that. We also do have, AV equipment as well as a projector and screen that's available for your clients also. So you don't have to go and bring in your own equipment. We have it all set up and ready to go for you there.
That's really great. Tell us a little bit about some of the parties that you've done specifically for the holidays and the types of people that have taken advantage of private dining.
Sure. We recently just had a party where a client called me, and this was for our 50th birthday party. It wasn't for the holidays, but it was a great experience. I got some good feedback. A customer came in, and they were coming from New York, and she called me and her husband. He was surprising him with a trip to Arizona, and so he came out. And she customized the menu with his picture and all his special likes. She even named the items on the menu after him and specific things in his family.
That's great.
And so it was very, and the husband, knew he was coming to Fleming's for dinner, but was very surprised when everything in the room was personalized to him.
That's amazing. You'll never forget something like that.
Mm-hmm. So that's just an example of what we can do. But the skies are the limits. We're really here to help you plan an event that will wow your customers and guests, and we're just here to help you with any needs that you might need with that event. Well,
that's Fleming's does customer service so well. And I think people don't realize that you've got those beautiful rooms available and it seats up to 80. That's amazing. Jack was talking about Italian always being such a popular item, and Fleming's known for its prime steak and its wonderful sides. What are some of the choices on the private dining menu that people absolutely love and that you can count on them enjoying?
Sure. Our menus we have some custom menus that we have in a different variety of price ranges, and you can always customize it, which is nice, to your special, liking off the a la carte menu. But of course, always our, New York strip steak or our ribeyes are most popular. Our Fleming's potatoes are mouth-watering and, always a popular hit. And of course, our chocolate soufflés or our New York cheesecakes for dessert, are always popular. But, the nice thing is, again, as I said, we can customize it to their liking. So if they have specific dietary needs and want a more simpler, health-conscious option, we can create that, or we can do something, that's just, that will blow their socks off all of their, high-end clients or whatever they want to do.
Fantastic. Well, I would think that you're starting to get booked. I mean, it's now mid-October, and we're one blink of an eye away from the holidays, the real serious holidays, and the crunch time. So you're booking up pretty quickly right now, and give us some options for giving you a call and booking.
Sure. We have, DC Ranch, I think it's right at the start of the season where people, I think our larger holiday party seasons have already pre-booked some of the bigger groups. A nice thing with Fleming's is we can do a lot of short-term business. So, the first 2 weeks, the first week and the second week are usually the busiest right before the holiday and then right after. So, the small, the first weeks or so, they're filling up quickly, but we do still have some availability. So feel free to give us a call. We do have an amazing promotion going on. If you do book your holiday party between October 1st and November 30th, you can utilize that we are offering a $50 gift certificate for every $500 you spend, and that can be used anytime next year in the year of 2013. For your next event or just to dine at Fleming's.
Very good. And does that mean we get to take advantage of that happy hour menu?
I don't think the happy hour menu is amazing.
I know. I don't think you need a gift certificate for that. Jack, have you been to happy hour at Fleming's?
Yes.
Isn't it amazing with that prime burger, and you can get 5 appetizers, 5 cocktails, 5 wines for $6 till $7, and people are lined up around the corner for that thing.
I love your prime rib night.
Prime rib Sundays or prime rib night.
Oh, I think that's out of this world.
Isn't it great? And then, Chris, it's like, $39 or something like that for prime rib Sunday?
Mag,
yes.
It's wonderful.
Yes, I think we had, for $29, it was before September. I think it ended in September, but we do offer it every Sunday as well for I think it's $37
Very
for
good.
a 3-course dinner. Yes.
It's so great talking to you. And that, I tell you what, I have a feeling, just a feeling that people are going to be partying hard this year. I think they're going to be feeling really good about the future. I'm just saying. And so we're going to want to book early and book often. And so give Carissa a call. She is your private dining director at the beautiful Fleming Steakhouse and Wine Bar at DC Ranch. And you can get all the information you need at FlemingsSteakhouse.com. Carissa, thanks so much. Have a great day.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And
Have a good evening.
Listen, we're gonna wait. We're gonna let Mama, as she's auditioning for her new hit show, we're gonna let her close you out. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Here we go.
Stay right there. We will be right back with Jen, Mama, and our special guest.
Beautiful. Good job. We'll be right back in the kitchen on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's Talk.
Quick, concise news updates at 00 and 30. News Talk 550 KFYI.
What a pleasure to have Jack Clifford in studio. Yes, he came up with a little teeny idea called the Food Network a few years back. And, he was talking at the beginning of the show how he realized early on that the money was in actually creating programming. Well, today, even though he's not involved with the network, I think they produce 226 original shows on the Food Network right now. So you get your chance to see and hear every aspect of food, from Boy Meets Grill, Bobby Flay. I love Ina Garten. I just think, there's chefs that you really trust whenever they cook. But it's fun. And, Jack, I have to say, I didn't know much about you. But through the last couple of hours, I have found out so much. First of all, you have a cabinet at home with 5 huge drawers that are loaded with spices and all the kitchen gadgets. So I want to come to your house to play.
You're invited anytime. Bring Mama with you.
I know. I will.
Absolutely. I will be there, Jack.
Also found out that you are a national champion ballroom dancer.
That's correct.
How many awards have you won in that capacity?
Well, it sounds awfully self-inflating, but quite a few, maybe 100 or more.
My goodness. And probably the most fascinating, where's my little notes here? Probably the most fascinating fact about you is that besides your picture in your yearbook, you were designated as the least likely to succeed.
Yes, at my high school.
Can I just do a shout out? Ha ha!
Oh, well.
Wah, wah, wah.
Actually,
did that give you incentive to be the over-the-top success that you are?
I don't know about over-the-top. But anyway, yes, it did. Those things are mean. They shouldn't have done that for anybody.
Of course not.
And they've stopped doing those kinds of things where they vote the prettiest girl, meaning everybody else is ugly.
Oh, now we have Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
Who needs that, right?
But anyway, I was voted least likely to succeed because I was always involved in doing nutty things and having fun.
Jack, I would say that was one giant typo. You have had a very long and illustrious career, and just fun. You're fun, and you're a good cook.
Well, I love to cook, and I love to be with people, and I was the luckiest guy that ever lived. I met a wonderful wife for 49 years who unfortunately died from a heart attack. And believe it or not, within a year or so afterwards, I found Beverly,
You got
who's
lucky.
sitting here with me. You know, most people don't find love once. I found it twice.
Very fortunate man.
And I have, as far as I know, no enemies that are concerned about me. And everybody has been kind to me in all my career. There were always people who said, "I'll give you a hand. Why don't you try this?" And I will be forever grateful. And I hope some people at Channel 3 are listening. For that year in 1957, when I walked in just to see what television was all about for my first visit to Phoenix, and asked for the program director. Don Tuckwood was his name. Don came out, and he said, "I don't have any thing on my schedule." And I said, "Good, you got me."
And you became a sportscaster.
And they were just luck. They were looking around for somebody to do their sports news because they had never done news before. So I came back at 2 in the afternoon, and by golly, I got the job.
You were kidding me.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Amazing, wasn't it? And that got me going.
Well, so you're one of our local celebrities, but you've got a list of folks that actually got their start here in the Valley.
Oh, yeah. Well, Steve Allen, for
Yep.
one, at KOI, which preceded this station. Marty Robbins, a country western singer. Buck Owens. Ray Odom. Waylon Jennings. Wayne Newton. I was the booth announcer for a show on Saturday afternoons at Channel 3 called Hillbilly Hit Parade. And Wayne Newton was only about 10 or 11 years old, and he had a man's voice. He had this powerful voice. I could go on and on.
That's
about it,
amazing.
But Phoenix has always been and it still is, in my book, it is a place of inspiration. You can come here and do whatever your heart wants you to do.
Exactly.
And I consider myself, the big decision I made was to come here in 1957 because the place was open to me. Everybody treated me with regard and respect as long as I earned it, and I will be forever, ever, ever grateful.
Jack, that's the other thing that you and I have in common. I was going to be here 1 year in the Valley, just passing through on to bigger markets, and I fell in love with Channel 3 and the folks that treated me the same way that people have treated you and the community at large. And you couldn't get me to not be a cowgirl in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'll tell you that. And have my chickens and have my little farm, and it's great.
When I was approached when I first came back, approached by old friends to talk about the House of Broadcasting. That's the reason I wanted to get involved, because it brings back those wonderful times. You see the people who were major players at that time. We all were friends. There was never this, this harsh competitiveness. Even the owners of the stations helped each other. Now I'll stop because you've got other things to do.
No. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness, no. I'm loving your stories. You're going to have to come back. You're just going to have to come back and visit with us.
Well, it's a great city, great state, and a wonderful industry. And I would tell every youngster that's worth their salt to get into broadcasting.
Well, listen, you can find out more information about some of those celebrities and the on-air personalities that have gotten their start, really sort of made a name for themselves here. The address for the House of Broadcasting is 7150 East 5th Avenue. The phone number to call to get the House of Broadcasting Star-Studded Celebrity Media Cookbook is 480-893-1324. Jack's chili recipe is well worth it. Just that. That's worth the money right there. We just handed you a cookie, and this is a cookie recipe that I stole from my niece, who stole it from my sister, who we don't know where she stole it from. But this is a pumpkin spice cookie that we make. We make it during the holidays. It's on my website at jandiatri.com, and we also wrote about it in the paper today. But it's delightful, and we use coconut oil and coconut sugar, two ingredients that have sort of become all the rage. And I just think they're a little bit healthier, and they're just nice and velvety and yummy. Mom, did you try a cookie?
I did. I love those. They're very moisty, very, very you can taste the pumpkin, and yet they're not that sweet.
Right, exactly. Mama, we have about 1 minute left to the show, so I'm going to have you close out the show today because this is your last moment for your audition for your show.
What can I say? One more thing. Jack, you will come back again because you and I are going to cook together.
Ooh.
Ah, my privilege. That would be an honor.
She wants the job. She wants the job. Mama,
Honey,
good
honey,
job.
Honey, you're hired.
All right, Mama, say goodbye to everybody from your show.
Oh, thank you for listening to us. We will be back again next Saturday, again with Jen and Mama and my new
Head show.
Right. I couldn't think of
I
it.
think she's hired, too. I'd hire her.
I'd hire in a minute. We'll talk afterwards. I have a contract.
There you go. Jack, you have a great weekend. We'll see you right back here next Saturday in the kitchen on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's Talk Station.